Welcome back to Investing Tutorial, your go-to destination for insightful investing knowledge. In today's video, we delve into the timeless wisdom of one of the most successful investors of all time, Warren Buffett. Often referred to as the Oracle of Omaha, Buffett's speeches are a treasure trove of valuable lessons that transcend generations. Join us as we break down key elements of Warren Buffett's speeches, decoding his investment philosophy, strategies, and nuggets of financial wisdom. Whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting your journey, these insights from the legendary investor are bound to enhance your understanding of the market and guide you towards making informed and strategic investment decisions. Hit the subscribe button, buckle up, and let's embark on a journey to unravel the secrets behind Warren Buffett's timeless speeches. These individuals shared one thing: they were willing to invest their time and energy into bettering themselves because they felt they had it in them to be something more. It's amazing what you can truly do when you have more talents. I'd like to share a few brief stories with you, and perhaps we can learn a few things from them. I would like to tell you about two women who, by coincidence, started with exactly the same amount, $2.05, and sold their businesses to Berkshire Hathaway for millions of dollars. One of these women arrived in Seattle in 1917, spoke no English, and had a tag around her neck that read Fort Dodge, Iowa, which she later learned was where the Red Cross had brought her. Where she met her husband, who had arrived in the nation a few years earlier. She spent 2 years living in Fort Dodge, where she claimed to feel like a dummy because she was unable to learn the language. In 1919, she and her husband made the decision to relocate to Omaha, where she discovered a small community of Russian Jews. As a result, she began to feel more at home. Later, after her eldest daughter, Frances, left for school, Frances would return home and teach her mother the words she had learned. That day, and for the next 20 years, Rose Blumpkin saved money, prioritizing her siblings over her parents by $50 at a time. She did this by selling used clothing, and by 1937, she had 4 children. After 20 years, she saved up $2,500 and traveled to Chicago to buy furniture to fulfill her lifelong dream of opening a furniture store. This woman had never attended school, but she had the same drive and determination as everyone in this room to pursue their dreams, and she used that money to build a business that she eventually sold to me in 1983 for roughly $60 million, and it generated $1.5 billion in revenue in its most recent year. This woman, Rose Blumpkin, worked with me until she was 103 years old, making her the 4th generation to work in that business. And after that, I'm not saying, she retired and passed away the following year, teaching all of Berkshire's managers that you should never retire too soon because you never know what may happen. However, Mrs. B and her $2,500. Another interesting detail about her was that she was illiterate when she entered the furniture industry and failed to innovate in the field. I saw another woman who did a similar thing with $2,500, and I paid her hundreds of millions of dollars for her business. So you can understand why I decided to go straight to the source and get these people before you guys come around to me demanding hundreds of millions of dollars. She brought with her a determination to succeed, knowledge that she could outwork anyone else, and compassion for her customers. Despite working at very low gross margins, she built this incredible business. I wanted to join you much earlier, so I followed this group. Today, I'd like to tell you about another small business owner. I tried to buy his company, but he turned me down, which was a very wise move. This man was born in 1922, which was about 8 years before I was born. We'll name him Jack. He was from the Midwest, a really decent athlete, and didn't enjoy school. I'll reveal one thing to you early on in the narrative, so perhaps you can guess who he was. The business he founded employs more recent college graduates annually than any other in the United States. And this man, who was destined for this but was unaware of it after attending college for a year, Jack left because he wasn't interested in learning. This was in 1941. When the United States came under attack, Jack went to the Army Air Force recruiting station to volunteer, but they turned him down because he had hay fever. He then went to the Navy and volunteered once more. They accepted him and placed him on an aircraft carrier where he flew small aircraft during World War II. He received 2 distinguished flying crosses from the Navy before returning to the Midwest. At this point, the young man is likely between 23 and 24 years old, but what's interesting is that he returned to the Midwest and briefly changed jobs. At the age of 35, having advanced through the ranks of the sales organization, he asked his boss if he could join him in the car leasing business. The boss responded, "Well, if you'll cut your salary in half and you'll come up with it was 25,000, which he borrowed. We can become partners in a car leasing company." Thus, my friend Jack began his career in the car leasing business at the age of 35. His first business venture was okay, but it wasn't really going to take off. At age 40, he decided to enter the rental car industry with 17 cars, which was pretty slow. In fact, one of his habits was to let the phone ring 3 or 4 times in order to give the impression that he was very busy answering other people's calls. This was, of course, the only call he would get all day. He's now competing with companies like Hertz, Avis, National, and others that own hundreds of thousands of cars. He owns 17 cars, all of which are identical to theirs. He purchases them from General Motors, Ford's, or Chrysler. But he can't get the airport locations because those companies sell out of them. Nevertheless, he was adamant that he would essentially give the customer everything they would need in a different car while also providing them with friendlier service than they have ever experienced. And so he founded the business, naming it after the battleship, the Enterprise, from which he had flown. He passed away approximately a year and a half ago, but before then, his rent-a-car company, which began with those 17 cars, was worth more than the combined value of Hertz and Avis, as well as all the other rental cars. The man's name was Jack Taylor, and his son, Andy Taylor, is a good friend of mine. Today, a grandchild operates the company. They'll likely be a 4th-generation alumni. This man in the United States lived by the creed of essentially delighting his customers and working with people and building the relationship with them so that they in turn would want to like the customers. He couldn't go out there and take care of every rental car possibility, but he learned how to project himself. You know, he didn't invent artificial intelligence. I mean, any one of us could have entered those businesses. Given his attitude toward other people, as well as his wish to become friends with each and every one of his customers, he was able to take fairly ordinary automobiles and transform them into this incredible business almost overnight. This serves to highlight a number of aspects. One is that, in the car leasing sector, you basically competed on the cost of money to loan cars, and it's very difficult to satisfy a consumer when you don't always get things right the first time. When you just hand them the car and tell them you'll be returning after the 5 years are over, and they need to send you a check every month. His talents were essentially being wasted in that business. But at 40 years old, with a wealth of experience under his belt, he discovered the secret. Like Mrs. B. Rose Blumpkin did with furniture, he took an ordinary business and transformed it into an extraordinary operation. He didn't worry about the Federal Reserve's decision to tighten or loosen policy, nor did he consider whether the stock market was rising or falling the day before. Though the value of the company has likely quadrupled since my visit, he was wise enough to see that he would find that business. He didn't worry about the things he couldn't change, but he did focus on the one thing he couldn't change: the customer's experience. I have seen the one that got away enterprise. I went down to Florida and tried to talk him into selling the Berkshire. The test isn't whether you come up with the best business idea ever the first time. Rather, it's whether you keep learning as you go along about your strengths, what you can do for your customers, and what you can bring especially to the party. To do that, you need the education that I know you've received through 10,000 small businesses. Henry Ford, as you may know, failed twice before he started the Ford Motor Company in 1903. However, you must have a sincere desire to delight customers every day. I've seen a lot of businesses, but I've never seen one that succeeds in delighting customers. What you want is for that customer to think of your establishment the next time they're debating whether to rent a car or buy some furniture because you know that's where they had a great experience. I'm not sure how much I paid for this kind of thing. If it was given to me, I probably wouldn't know, but for the sake of the speech, I'll say I don't know. However, Even though the shirt I'm wearing is different, I know that I will always remember how I was treated when I made the purchase. You forget about the price over time, but you never forget whether the experience was positive or negative, and it will be difficult to find someone who had a positive experience. A happy experience buying something that they won't return, and vice versa if the memory is one of rudeness, indifference, or whatever it is they won't return. As a small business owner, you have to be able to project this interest in people's well-being and delight them yourself, but you also have to do it through other people as your business grows. You truly must learn to multiply yourself through other people. I encourage the young people to come to Omaha. We have a lot of classes. You also won't be able to accomplish this through people who themselves don't feel like they're being treated fairly or that their opinions aren't being appropriately considered. In terms of your personal life, the most crucial decision you will probably make is choosing a spouse. It is also critical to surround yourself with people who are better than you, because you will gravitate toward those with whom you surround yourself. Thus, you should know that I've been incredibly fortunate in that regard. I've only had instructors, friends, and a spouse who was honestly a better person than I was, and I had enough common sense to learn from them that although it took some time, life would go more smoothly if you behaved better yourself. For this reason, I would advise you to look for partners in life and business, whoever they may be, who are real role models for you rather than people you feel you should change for the better. It's unbelievable how far simple rules like that can take you in life. They took Rose Blumkin, who couldn't read or write or speak a word of English, to what is now a billion-dollar company, and how they can delight customers, work through other people, and associate with people who will cause you to move in a better path than you might otherwise have. Furthermore, since the total capital invested in the Nebraska Furniture Mart was $2,500, no money has been added to it. Although I'm not familiar with Enterprise's financial records, my assumption is that very little equity capital has been added to Enterprise over the years as the company has grown on its own. I want to start by saying that I greatly admire this group of people. I was thrilled to meet Dr. Mellow's class on September 22, 8 years ago, and I admire those who work as hard as you do at their jobs, while also putting in a great deal of extra effort to advance their careers. With 2,200 people in front of me that I admire, 99% of them graduate. That's an incredible figure, and I can assure you that the best is still to come. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of Warren Buffett's invaluable insights. We hope you found inspiration and practical knowledge to apply to your own investment journey. Remember, the world of finance is ever evolving, and learning from the best is key to navigating its complexities. If you enjoyed this video and want more in-depth tutorials on investing strategies, market analysis, and financial planning, don't forget to subscribe to Investing Tutorial. Your support fuels our commitment to providing you with quality content that empowers you to make informed and successful investment decisions. Stay tuned for more engaging tutorials, and until next time, happy investing!